G'day. Oscar Piastri and his management team are furious after today's Qatar Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri didn't put a foot wrong over the entire Qatar Grand Prix weekend, and it was looking like he was cruising towards a dominant victory in today's race. But the team let him down, and they even admitted that. Their decision not to pit him and Lando Norris when the safety car came out and every other team pitted almost certainly cost Oscar a race win. Now, I spoke to some of his inner sanctum tonight in the paddock after the race, and it was very clear that there is tension between Oscar and his entourage and the McLaren team. And you only had to have a look at Oscar's Instagram post tonight after the race to realise something is wrong. A simple picture of him on the podium and not a happy shot and no caption. No words whatsoever. He's left it up to us to work out what he's feeling, and I can tell you, he's not happy. I was at the front of the McLaren hospitality suite tonight for some time, and one thing that got my full attention was Zak Brown making a beeline for the TV media pen. It's only a walk of 30 metres, but he went with purpose, at speed, went into the media pen, pulled Lando away from an interview, gave him a hug, congratulated him in front of the media, and then headed back to the hospitality suite. And at that time I wondered, was that a PR stunt? Was that something to show that the team is united? Because they're not. And I can't remember seeing a team principal do that. Normally that takes place back at the hospitality suite when all that media stuff has been done. And on the way back from the media pen, Zak had to walk past Mark Webber, who was dining with Oscar Piastri's dad, Chris. And I haven't got a photo of this, but you'll trust me when I say he gave Zak a very icy look. I'm not sure Zak clocked him doing it, but certainly it was noticeable to a few of us. So let there be no doubt that the Piastri team are very unhappy with the way that things have played out over the past few weeks. Of course, last week, we had both the cars disqualified. This is looking like a classic lesson in how to throw away a World Drivers' Championship. Of course, Lando's still 12 points in front of Max and another 4 in front of Oscar, but that should not have been the tally after this race. Now, if you're looking for a Christmas gift for friends or family or for yourself, head to the shop at kimillman.com for one of my F1 photo books. Plenty to choose from, including the Best of 2025, which is not even finalised yet, but will be on the Sunday night of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. A 25-page mini coffee table book, or this monster 4-kilogram version with 100 pages. Had things have gone the way they should have, Oscar would have won the race and been in second place in the championship. Instead, he's now third place. Max Verstappen is now breathing down Lando Norris's neck, and Lando's looking a little rattled. So here's the lay of the land. Lando Norris, 408 points. Max Verstappen, 396, and 4 behind Oscar Piastri with 392. Of course, hats off to Max Verstappen. He's driven a great race, and he's come from 104 points behind Oscar back in Zandvoort, and now sits 4 points ahead of him. That is a remarkable comeback. Let me talk briefly about Parc Ferme. Lando got out of his car, having finished second, threw his gloves in anger, and then went looking for his crew. But they weren't there. Why weren't they there? Well, maybe a couple were, but certainly second would normally warrant a number of your crew being there to help celebrate. Carlos Sainz had almost all of his side of the garage at Parc Ferme to meet him post-race. Of course, he doesn't end up on the podium terribly often, so maybe that is a little bit out of the ordinary. But I think it's almost unforgivable to think that you don't bring your crew down to celebrate with your driver. And while Oscar was on the podium, Lando had to come out the FIA... Well, no, he didn't come out the FIA garage. For some reason, he came out this exit, then made his way to the media pen and back to the hospitality suite. A little later, he came downstairs to catch up with his family. And I must say, too, that Oscar's dad, Chris, did give Lando's mum a hug. They get on pretty well, and that's nice to see. But if you listened to the race, you would have heard Lando's comments over the radio, and he sounded dejected, deflated, disappointed. We now head to Abu Dhabi, and the prospect of 3 different drivers having a chance to win a World Drivers' Championship is something I've not experienced in my time photographing the sport. Last time I believe that happened was back in 2010, and there were actually 4 drivers in contention there: Vettel, Alonso, Webber and Hamilton. This man, Sebastian Vettel, ended up winning. Max Verstappen, though, is smiling from ear to ear. He's got nothing to lose when we go to Abu Dhabi, and he's been saying for some time that if he'd been driving that McLaren car, he would have won the championship a long time ago. Now we're faced with the situation that he could in fact pinch that World Drivers' Championship from these 2 drivers, which beggars belief. Watching and listening to Lando Norris this weekend, it seems to me, and probably to a lot of other people, that perhaps Max has got inside Lando's head and is now a big physical threat and a mental threat. But I go back to that fact that he is still 12 points in front, and that's a lovely buffer to have. But one thing's for sure, Red Bull will be very happy that this drama has played out this weekend as they were last weekend in Las Vegas. And it was also pointed out to me that Kimi Antonelli has copped a little bit of flack on some social media posts too about the fact that he allowed Lando to pass him. I'm not sure he allowed him to pass him, but of course that gave Lando an extra 2 points, 2 very valuable points in this 2025 World Drivers' Championship season. And going back to Saturday after qualifying, I noticed that Lando was holding his hand. He wouldn't shake hands with the right hand, instead used his left. And then Zach Brown came over and they were looking at his hand. Well, I can tell you that was a paddle-related injury. Obviously not that serious, but still worth noting. And did you see George bow down to Lando? Oh, that took me quite by surprise. But George often does that. Now, let's go to Fernando Alonso, who is expecting his first child with his girlfriend Melissa Jimenez, a DAZN presenter. Hasn't been seen on DAZN for some months now, and I think you'll find the baby is due sometime before the start of next season. When news of this broke on, Saturday, a number of people were congratulating him as he made his way to the hospitality suite. And have a look at these pictures from today's drivers' parade. These are hilarious. Let's go on to Carlos Sainz's remarkable third place finish this season, and today his father was in attendance celebrating in Parc Ferme with team principal James Vowles. Another terrible weekend for Ferrari, in particular Lewis Hamilton, failing to get out of Q1 on Saturday. Today when he came in, he was very clearly not wanting to be photographed, walking behind an associate and coming in a gate that is rarely ever used. And I did see on some other social media posts that he was wearing fashionable gear, and typically if he does wear fashionable gear, he doesn't mind being photographed. But there's no doubt he has had enough of season 2025, and you can tell from the radio messages between him and his race engineer that things aren't going well in Team Ferrari for him. I don't often talk F2, but today Leonardo Fornaroli won the F2 championship, and out at Parc Ferme to greet him, another Italian driver, that being Kimi Antonelli, and also Gabriele Bortoleto supporting their mate. But interestingly, he does not have any prospect of an F1 drive next year. And by the way, he won F3 last year and F2 this year. So obviously a talent, but with no real career path as it stands right now. Have a look at this picture here, Franco Colapinto going off track. And what happens is he gets into the gravel, it comes up behind the car, makes a cloud of smoke. Subsequent cars that come through in the next 20 seconds have to go through that smoke cloud. But when that gravel hits the track, it's sprayed further by other cars coming through. And it's not uncommon for us to get peppered with small rocks while we're photographing. You know you're alive when that's happening. In Thursday night's video, I talked to you about being measured up for a thobe, which is the long white outfit. Well, I actually wore my thobe, along with Jace's wearing his, to the track on Saturday, just for a bit of fun. Did a couple of laps up and down. Very comfortable piece of clothing. Would have loved to have had the headdress that goes with it, but unfortunately it wasn't delivered. And yes, I did not wear black underwear under it this time. Do you know this fella? He does a lot of his work up a ladder. He's not a tradesman, he's Max, and Max is the guy behind Career Ladder. My son actually said to me, you should go and be on that. So I did. I went down there, I didn't have my media pass on, I took off my cameras obviously, and wandered down and said, my son suggested I come and have a go on this. We spent about 5 minutes up the ladder, and hopefully you'll get to see it on his social media channels shortly. It was an entertaining segment. Now, what were you paying for food at the Qatar Grand Prix? A slice of pizza, $10, and it was tasty. A burger with a drink and fries, $11, and all prices in US for consistency. For $13.50, you can grab chicken strips or this burger from Nando's, again with chips and a drink. Beef tacos will set you back $5.50, and a Caesar salad $7. And this is from a range of food stalls behind the Pitt Straight Grandstand. Chicken noodles $10.70 and cooked in front of you. $8 will get you a hot dog from the dog pit, or this margarita pizza from Italy. Drinks wise, there's no alcohol. A bottle of water from one of the stalls is around $1, or head here for free water. Local soft drinks $8. Coffees range from $3.30 to $6.30, and for dessert, grab these cookies for $7, a pink berry for $9.60, or truffles for $7.70. But I understand now there were some very long lines to get food, and some people were saying up to an hour. I can assure you that when I went out there, there were no lines of an hour. It was a couple of minutes at the most, but if I'd seen that, I certainly would have told you. Let's talk celebrities at the track. I know a lot of you love celebrities and probably as many hate them, but Novak Djokovic pretty handy tennis player was with us. We also had Kevin Hart, the comedian. He was there because he does the safety announcements on board Qatar Airways, and they are the sponsor of this race. Metallica were there. Gordon Ramsay. Gordon's at just about every event. He loves it. Rio Ferdinand, David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, and plenty more. Now I head off to Abu Dhabi on Tuesday for what will be a most stunning end to the season. 3 drivers capable of taking that World Drivers' Championship crown, and by gosh, if Max Verstappen wins it, that'll be one of the greatest comeback stories ever in sport. Who's my money on? Well, I just don't think you can go past the guy in front. He's 12 points clear, doesn't have to win the race, although he does have all the pressure on him. And that, I guess, is a tough grind for someone who's never won a World Drivers' Championship, unlike Max Verstappen, who has 4 in his back pocket. And I did see that on the back of some of his crew, they have caps with all of the years that Max has won a championship. Now I'm going to go to bed. But before I do, could you please head over to my shop at kimellman.com. The BF20 promo code gets you 20% off right now on a whole host of my products. And the last thing I'll say is thank you for watching and stay passionate.